The trumpet of the Lord shall sound in time.
Welcome to Battle of the Bible Boys, Season 4. Can you believe we've been doing this for 4 years now, gentlemen? You were both there for the initial draft.
I got a few more gray hairs since then.
Back when we were young.
When we were
Mostly
young.
for my last place finish. Well, not quite last place, but almost last place finishes.
Man, yeah, that was a year. All right, so this year we've got 10 teams, some new faces, but a lot of returning faces, and all the smack talk you could ever want. Today we're going to be reviewing the initial startup draft for this year's team. It is a 10-team, full PPR, best ball with trading and waivers because the people want to play grown-up fantasy football. But the format this year is a little different. Basically, you have your 7 spots at the top of your roster, and anytime that you... Well, really, the top 7 scores are going to autofill into those 7 spots. So if your main quarterback has a really bad week, but your second quarterback has a really good week and outscores them, they'll float up to the top spot. And that's how it works. You guys have any comments or things you want to say about this year?
I think it's going to be cray-cray.
Oh, yeah?
May the best team win.
Oh.
So probably won't be mine.
Ouch.
Oh.
Well, I don't know, man. I actually really liked your team. How do you guys think the draft went?
I thought it was great for y'all. For myself, well...
Brian, you drafted
was
really
kinda out of
well.
my
What are you
hands.
talking about?
No, it was good. It was a good draft.
I know that I really enjoyed it, and I learned my lesson from last year of just taking picks very logically and ending up with the A+ from Yahoo Fantasy rating and finishing as a middle of the pack team. So this year I went with the feels. So this is just the gut/feels team.
Yeah,
the horse, Isaac.
Yeah, exactly.
Heart. You went with your heart this year.
I did.
Definitely. That's why you reached on Wilson.
Yep.
I'm still mad about that.
Nice.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun in the draft. I've definitely not done well in this league, and this year, I'm gonna be honest, I'm just out for blood. And I really thought about like the way that best ball works and how it's different, and so I was trying to take more shots on people that might have like 3 really good weeks all year and just be like irrelevant the rest of the time and take advantage of the best ball format.
Yep.
So, I got a lot of like wide receiver 2s and 3s and like someone that might break out, might have a spike week.
Yep.
That's my hope. So
Yeah,
The sole reason I picked Sammy Watkins, because he's going to score 60 points in 1 week. And I'm
That's
going to
right.
win that week.
he'll never have any other good games all year.
Yeah, the Will Fullers of the world and the Brandon Cooks and stuff can really make a difference in these leagues because in past years, they'd always break out for 20, 30 points. But they'd always be on your bench. So,
Exactly.
Yep.
Isaac, you felt a lot of that last year. I think that's part of why we went with this format. Just for Isaac's emotional health.
Mike Williams scored like 30 to 40 points last year in like the first 4 to 5 weeks, but I had Deebo Samuel and a couple other receivers always in the top spots. And then when I started Mike Williams, Deebo Samuel would go off for 30, 40 points on my bench, and Mike Williams would lay it dead. So,
And that's the
You were so
Deebo
frustrated.
to Haley trade.
yeah,
Yes.
that was interesting.
Oh, that did not. That helped her a lot. Last year's reigning champ, Haley.
Yeah,
Rode Pat Mahomes,
was-
Jonathan Taylor, Deebo Samuel, Mark Andrews.
that was
I
quite a
think.
trade. That was a team.
A hot lineup. This year's draft was pretty fun. I think there were a lot of different strategies that went about. I'm looking at the draft board right now. I don't know if you gentlemen can see it. Maybe you want to pull it up. Do you have any thoughts on how the draft went? Any of these fun strategies that people were doing besides just us 3?
I love Stevens running back strategy, man.
Yeah. Took them all.
I don't know if he's had any run-ins with the law in the past because he was running with the running backs. That's for sure.
And then his wide receiver 1 was Mike Williams. How do you feel about that, Brian?
Actually, I mean, in a best ball league, I think it's a great pick because with that offense and LA now with the Justin Herbert and stuff, I think he could have some really big weeks for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
We kept up with the tradition of the number 1 team picking a quarterback instead of the RB1. So that always shakes up what follows.
Yeah, that's true. Last year, Haley took Pat Mahomes at the 1.
Year before that, she took Pat Mahomes at the 1.
That's right. And I got the number 2 again. Do you guys see this?
Oh, dang. Pat, you did.
I'm thrilled just to make it all about me. I don't have Christian McCaffrey. Because the last 2 years I've thought that's the right pick. I'm going to pick Christian McCaffrey. And he's been injured. And I have suffered greatly for that.
Yeah.
This year, I went with Jonathan Taylor. And guess who's going to have a season-ending injury in the first couple weeks? It's Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, my God. Say it ain't so.
And Christian McCaffrey is going to be the running back 1 on the year.
Quick shout out to Haley though for taking Patrick Mahomes and sticking with him and her as her first pick. Like that's some solid heart commitment right there, and I just want to applaud you for that, Haley. Good job.
And for taking Tyreek, even though he's on a different team.
That's true. I didn't see that. But
that's
right.
Loyalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a lot of Chiefs.
I remember when we did the first year of this league, and it was in your parents' living room, Luke, and I was talking with your dad because I took Christian McCaffrey that year, and he won me the league that year. I think that was his sophomore season, but I think I remember, I forget if he dealt with an injury the year before or what, but I remember being unsure about that pick with him, and then I went ahead and did it anyway, and I got lucky that year. I feel like the last couple of years he's kind of burned the owners who have taken him, but I really liked that pick for Team Kaylee because he's got a really good he's going to be a big focal point of that Carolina offense again, and if he can stay healthy, he can be a league winner.
Yeah, definitely. Well, why don't we get into the teams just so we can start talking about them in depth. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about every team individually, give our thoughts, and we all actually have made a top 10 prediction for the year. So we'll tell you all where we ranked each team as well in our top out of the 10, who's going to finish first and who's going to finish last. Just predictions. Why don't we start with the number 1 pick and we'll go all the way down to the last pick? Or, this is the Bible Boys, maybe we should start with the last. So start with Brian's team.
Okay. Fair enough.
That is Make Better Choices.
Yeah.
Isaac, what are your thoughts on Make Better Choices?
My thoughts are that he made okay choices, but he could have made better choices. So we know that Jalen Hurts has a high floor as a fantasy QB, so we've got that. We know that Joe Mixon has been great in that offense, as having been burned by Zeke before. Not a big fan of the second running back there. I think you really have to rely on goal line touches and hoping that Elliott is the one who gets 2 touchdowns while Tony Pollard is the one with 100 yards on any given day. Still waiting for the DJ Moore breakout to happen over a full season. But Justin Jefferson is always fun. Michael Thomas could get healthy again. So I had Brian's team ranked a comfortable 6th. So as we found out last year, right, these rankings ultimately don't matter. And they're just for us to see how wrong we were at the end of the year. But this is a solid middle of the pack team, so it means it could go either direction. But I'm not seeing the number 1 ceiling.
Interesting. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like
I love
with
you, Isaac.
With the lack of
too, Brian.
ceiling. See, what I really, I'll be upfront with my ranking. I put Brian at 4th. I actually think there's a lot to like here. I am in love with the depth at wide receiver. His last few picks, like Isaiah McKenzie and was it Jamal Williams?
James Smith.
Yeah, Jamison Williams. Yeah, sorry. There's a lot of people named Williams, and Joshua Palmer. Like, I think all three of those guys are going to end up on Brian's roster multiple times this year. Now the thing is, he dropped Deshaun Watson like a good person, so the whole team relies on Jalen Hurts breaking out. And this is my personal bias in what I'm considering my most important league this year, like my most try-hard league. I reached and I took Jalen Hurts in the 5th round in a 14-team PPR league because I think like the way that Lamar Jackson broke out a few years ago and you had to like take your shot, I feel like Jalen Hurts could really do that just because he has the pieces now and a good O-line, and rushing quarterbacks provide such an advantage every week. You do need some of these guys to break out a little bit. Like we got to hope that Zeke was just hurt last year. Got to hope that Baker Mayfield is allowed to like unlock his true potential and he starts throwing to DJ Moore. Otherwise, I'm worried that a lot of these guys are either old busted or not happening yet.
Yeah, no, that's a fair take. I really like the choices that I made. I really do receiver depth that I've got. I do get your concern with the Ezekiel Elliott pick. I am hoping that he vultures some touchdowns this year. I think the biggest weak spot for my team by far is Elliott, and then just having one really solid quarterback. I mean, Mitch Trubisky's my backup because I just couldn't stick with Deshaun Watson, and I just couldn't stick with a guy that does stuff, like he did. And we'll see. Maybe I can sneak a wide receiver off my roster and get like a nice quarterback. But I like my team. I think the big X factor is Kyle Pitts, though, because that stinker could really. He could really pop. He's the most talented tight end in the league, more than Kelsey, Andrews, or any of them. And he doesn't have a great quarterback situation in Atlanta, but sometimes talent just pops. So we'll see there. But I think the X factor could be that my tight end, if he really breaks out this year, could score more points than all your tight ends. So
absolutely, I agree with that. What's your ranking of yourself?
My ranking of myself, I actually had myself last, though, and I know that I sounded more promising on my team. Yeah, because I don't trust Elliott, this year as much as I'd like. I wanted to take him because I thought he could vulture some touchdowns, but we'll see here. Michael Thomas is injured. Like, will he come back to his normal form? I just really liked a lot of y'all's teams, genuinely. And I'll get to that when we get to them some more. But
cool, you got it. And I'm gonna put your rankings as you reveal them to me here for the people to see. So sure. You got mine. They already know mine, but I will add a little bit of suspense to the show tonight, actually. So Isaac, you put Brian Make Better Choices at 6th.
It did.
Brian, you put yourself at last.
I mean, make better choices. I got to stick with the theme here.
All right. Let's move on to the defending champion, Haley's team, Queen of the Bahoys.
Yeah.
Who wants to start us off?
You want to, Brian?
Sure. Yeah, no, I really like Queen of the Boys team, especially with quarterback, right? Pat Mahomes is going to have a bounce back year. That guy's a cold-blooded killer over there in Kansas City, and he's got a restocked wide receiver core over there. And I really do love her wide receiver selections with Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill. If they can both stay healthy, they'll put up some solid numbers. The position I love the most, though, is tight end, because week in and week out, she's got a really high floor for the tight end scoring, because if both Darren Waller and George Kittle stay healthy, she's going to get some really solid tight end production week in and week out, which may not be the same for the rest of us. But unfortunately, I do think the one big handicap to her team is the running back position, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire was like a first or second round pick for the Chiefs a few years ago, but he's not really going to break out at this point. And Elijah Mitchell, he'll have some nice games for her. Like, she'll win some weeks for sure, but I don't think she can win a championship with those two running backs as her studs. But I really do love her tight end position and her receiver depth, and her quarterback position is going to be solid. And I think here overall in my rankings, I had her ranked 7th.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll just echo a number of those thoughts. Like you said, Brian, I think the weakness is at running back, and I don't see either of those two as having a great ceiling, maybe a safe floor at times. Like you said, tight end will be fantastic. Wide receiver, I think this is a team that gets helped by the best ball format, and that Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans can both be huge numbers one week and 0 or 2 points the next.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's where you hope that you get someone from her wide receiver bench like Brandon Ayuk stepping up, or you hope that the random weeks Cooper explodes coincides with the random weeks Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans don't.
Don't sleep on London either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he'll be a target hog, I think.
Very true. So with that in mind, pretty similar thoughts to you, Brian, and I just had her at 8.
Cool. And I also had Haley at 8. I agree pretty much with what you guys said, so I don't need to echo it all. I think taking 2 tight ends just in this format I think it hindered her team a lot. She really could have used maybe like Breece Hall went right after she took George Kittle. That could have really given her a little more of a floor. I think a path to potential success, it's a really long shot, but if somehow Isaiah Pacheco takes over the running back room, which he's like a 7th round pick, I think, so like it's probably not going to happen. But in the past, the Chiefs running backs who are really successful have been like fantasy dominant, so that could be something. But yeah, it's just like there's too much variance. I think she's going to have a lot of weeks where her top scorers just aren't there. And if Pat Mahomes has a bad week, she's really in trouble.
Yeah. There is one tiny glimmer of hope, too, and it's a stretch, but as a Lions fan, they're going to have a top 10, maybe even top 5 offensive line in the league this year. And if something were to happen to Swift, Jamal Williams will probably be the starter. And with that good of an O-line, you never know. He's still got a little bit of juice in the tank and stuff. So
you good. Yeah, Jamal. That's right. Jamison Williams over here on the same team. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's go to Fiddleleaf Figgy.
I love that name.
I think you've got to take the lead on this one.
It is. The name is the best thing about this team. It is. I have Heidi, my dearest Heidi, ranked at 9. I think really his selfishness did a lot of damage to this team. She started off with getting 3 of the best wide receivers in the whole league. That is for sure. Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, and A.J. Brown. Like, I don't even know how she got all 3 of those in the first 3 rounds.
Sometimes.
And then she got Justin Herbert, which I think is a strong contender, probably like my second quarterback that I'd want in a league.
Yeah.
I don't know how she got Justin Herbert in the 4th, so like that was lucky, and these were really good picks. But just going beyond that, like I have very little faith in a lot of these running backs. I think there's actually enough depth where someone can pop off and provide some spike weeks. I think Cordella Patterson, Ramondre Stevenson are actually going to do well, and maybe Breece Hall starts really picking up by the end of the year. But I'm not a fan of the tight ends. And if Justin Herbert has a bad week at the same time, like there's no quarterback depth here. I don't really think Kenny Pickett's going to do that well. So it's just a lot of believing in certain players without many other situations where she's going to succeed. I think she could be a dark horse contender, though, to be honest, just because I'm so scared of her top 4.
Yeah, and with her top 4, that's why I have Heidi at 7, and it's the exact reasons you said. The top 4 is fantastic, amazing top half of the team, and then we have the cliffs of insanity and the rest of her team after that. So, like you said, there's some chances for some of them to surprise and give you good weeks here and there. but it's really counting on some extremely talented players to carry, but needs a little bit more balance for a better chance at success.
Yeah. Well, frankly, Heidi, I'm a little bit more optimistic than both of these two on your team. I've got you at 6th, and I actually think you could easily finish as high as like 3 or 4 very easily, and could even, under the right circumstances, go all the way. But I do have to echo both their sentiments. I thought you had an outstanding top 4 picks. Your top 4 picks, frankly, are right up there with everybody else's top 4 picks. But and if they, on a week where all 4 of those players hit, you're going to win. But they're not going to all 4 hit every week. Your running backs, Josh Jacobs, unfortunately, the head coach doesn't really like him in Las Vegas, and so his standing there is a little bit sketchy. And J.K. Dobbins is
he's good, but he's hurt.
He's good, but he's hurt. Breece Hall, if he takes off, you could do a lot of damage this year. But you do have a few lottery tickets that you got to cash in on, and I'm not nearly as down on your tight end situation as Luke was. T.J. Hawkinson's my lion there, so nice
Might
pick
be a little
there.
biased.
Might be a little biased, but he also could have a better year than last year too. He's got talent, so we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. All right. How's about Shanunu with your team? Sorry, I'm having trouble finding which team is
This
yours.
isn't hockey.
This isn't hockey. That's right. You want to start, Brian?
Sure. I really, really like your team. I thought she had a really outstanding pick with Cooper Kupp. There's a little bit of risk with Matthew Stafford, the quarterback for the Rams. He has a shoulder injury that's kind of ominous right now, but Cooper Kupp's not going to repeat as the Triple Crown winner. I think that was receptions, touchdowns, and yards or something like that. But he's going to have a really great year. Najee Harris is going to consume all the touches in Pittsburgh. CeeDee Lamb and James Conner both have great years. What I really love about This Isn't Hockey's team the most, though, is that in a best ball league, having CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp, they're both going to go off, but Tyler Lockett could really pop off for some good weeks. He actually got a lot of targets with Geno Smith in Seattle. I really like the tight end situation, too, because Dallas Goedert's the number 1 in Philly, and if Jalen Hurts does take off, he's going to be a big part of that. Dalton Schultz is always going to be a great floor. And then the running back situation with Najee Harris and James Conner's good. And having all those quarterbacks, she's got a lot of really great lottery tickets to have the highest quarterback score in a given week. So I think This Isn't Hockey has a lot of potential. That said, there were a few teams I liked slightly better, so I had them ranked 5th, but there's great potential here that if the right things happen, This Isn't Hockey could easily be a top 3, if not a winner.
And what was your ranking?
5th.
5th. Got it.
And that may be a little too pessimistic, but there were some other teams I really liked too.
I had her at 6th. So I really agree with a lot of those sentiments. There's a lot to be scared of here. Like, the 6 quarterbacks does mean that she's probably going to be putting out like at least a top 8, 7 performance each week, because there's just that variance. Someone's going to be having a good week. Tom Brady and Dak Prescott are scary. And her top players that are like actually on her roster are really good. I'm just not a huge fan of the depth, and I worry that a few injuries could make this team irrelevant, especially at the running back position. A lot relies on Najee Harris.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and in light of all of that, I am on the high end here. I agree with all of those thoughts, but I had this team coming in at 2, counting on some luck. Gonna count on injury bugs, not getting. Like you said, quarterback situation gonna be top half of the league, I would think, every week based on those options. I think the wide receiver combo is great with Cooper Kupp and CeeDee Lamb. Could both be fantastic. Schultz has a great floor as a tight end. Najee Harris was the only player on my fantasy team from last year that I still liked by the end of the year. So I think
Such a hater, Isaac.
I know. everyone else let me down. So depth is definitely a concern. I agree that if an injury hits one of the significant contributors in the lineup, that the season could be toast. But we're going to count on there being no injuries in the NFL this year. And I just like that starting lineup enough that I'm going to call it a number 2 team.
That's amazing. That's a really high take. This is where I'm actually going to. I want to talk a little more. I just want to say why I honestly am not a fan of taking 6 quarterbacks. Only one of them can be on the roster each week. So what's her flex going to look like? What's her running back 2 going to look like? I just worry that it's too much talent put into a place where only one person can even make a difference.
It's a fair take. I think there's some room though, because you could easily make it, since trades are enabled, I think you could easily trade a quarterback to some teams out there that are lacking great backup options.
That's why she wanted trading so badly. Yeah. That is very true. Shania, you have a lot of valuable stocks right now, and probably will continue to have throughout the season. So.
Absolutely.
All right. What the Dickens? Return of the King. The King from 2 years ago.
I should have named my team for Frodo.
Yeah, that would have been good. There's still time, man. Mind if I start on this one?
Go for it.
Go for it.
All right. I have Return of the King as my number 1 team.
Oh.
Yep, I truly think so. I think all these teams that we've just talked about having really good starting lineups, high upside, I think Return of the King has that. I was pretty disturbed for most of the rounds that Isaac chose to take somebody who was kind of you were right at the start of a lot of runs, getting good value. I don't like that you have Deebo Samuel. I don't like that you have Brandon Cooks. I don't like your top 2 running backs, which should be, they've been top 5 picks in previous years. They're just both of them are kind of becoming questionable due to age, but not because of talent. Dawson Knox is the perfect best ball tight end, because he's going to blow up and win you a week probably 3 or 4 times this year. But when he's not, you have Cole Kmet, who I think is my favorite PPR tight end. He's just going to catch a ton of passes. And I just never got, they never got to me at the value that I wanted them. But you have depth to back it all up. Your quarterback situation is a little, it's all Wilson and Cousins. I wouldn't expect both of them to have a completely bad week at any given time. And I do expect both of them to have top 5 weeks multiple times. So, I just think season long, Isaac's going to win a lot of games.
So I learned from projecting myself as the first team last year, and so I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to go with one of God's favorite numbers. The number 3 is where I had myself coming in. I do love the skill player group of running backs. I think, like you're saying, Dalvin Cook and Kamara are becoming a little older. As I was watching games, I didn't necessarily seem like either of them lost juice, whether it was injuries or bad team performances. Also, I think sometimes in fantasy, players are around long enough that unless they keep finishing in the top 2 every year, people just get tired of drafting them in the top 5. And so I think that's why I was able to get both Cook and Kamara. I was also surprised I could land Higgins and Samuel on the same team. So I was happy with that group. I think Wilson and Cousins will be solid enough combination there at quarterback. I reached for Wilson before I had to, so that I can watch my fantasy quarterback week in.
There you go. There you go.
And then I think, like you said, I'm not excited about anyone on my bench, but I think they'll provide a decent amount of depth. And like I said, there's a couple guys like Sammy Watkins, like even Van Jefferson, who I feel like will go off for those random weeks and help cover up some of the weeks where the stars don't perform like stars. So
Yeah.
I feel good, but
Do you know I'm not gonna like all year if Russ throws a bomb touchdown to Judy
yep.
on my TV because I'm gonna live in Colorado. I'm just gonna have to sit there and be like, come on, man. The stack, dude. The stack
gonna
also.
happen the week
The
you play
stack
'em.
is like the cherry on top for me.
Yep.
It's going to happen the week you play him.
I know
Watch.
it will. It will.
Absolutely.
What about you, Brian?
I'm a little bit more down on your team, Isaac. I had you at 4th.
Ooh, zesty.
If this was 2-3 years ago, your team would have easily been first with Russ, Dalvin Cook, and Alvin Kamara. I mean, all three of those players were absolute studs in their day. I think, is there absolute potential for you to win the league? Of course there is. But personally, Alvin Kamara and having taken Dalvin Cook last year, you're helped by the fact that it's a best ball league a little bit in the sense that if he gets hurt or something, you've got Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara hopefully healthy to kind of fill in the gaps, and you don't have to worry about the taken roster spot. But to be honest, I feel like there's a really high chance that either Kamara or Cook gets hurt this year for multiple weeks. And if you take out either one of those guys, Kareem Hunt is definitely a very solid third running back in this league. But I just don't know if it's enough to take you past a few other teams that I will be getting to here. But I do like Russell Wilson. I think he'll be a solid quarterback. I'm not sure if he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. And so I think you got the variance. Like I could completely be I've come in, not quite fully last, but like I haven't won the last few years and haven't done great at all, frankly. I don't even think I've made the playoffs the last couple of years. So, I mean, what do I know? But I had you 4th. I really do like the running backs. It's a solid duo. I mean, if they both perform, it could be great. Deebo Samuel and T. Higgins are studs. Russell Wilson's great. I do love your Cooks and stuff, but if any one of those running backs gets hurt or underperforms, there's not much depth past that. So yeah, I'm a hater. Sorry.
No, I'll take it. I don't want the jinxes piling up. Luke's already doing his best here to
Just trying to take you down.
exactly.
All right, we got Bear Grylls, the number 1, number 2 team. What you thinking, Brian?
Well, I think Bear Grylls certainly knows how to put a better roster together than Scott Frost. But jokes aside, I really love this team. Austin Eckler for a redraft league is solid for PPR, man. Like I always have underrated him the last 2 years, and I can't remember if he had him last year, if it was someone else in our redraft. But Eckler, just week in and week out, just will put up big weeks. And by being a pass catching running back, I think he does do some running, but I think he's a little bit less injury prone than the others. And Travis Kelce, I don't know, if Kyle Pitts explodes, but Kelce, I think will have a rebound. He did good last year, but I think with Mahomes having a rebound year, Kelce will really take off. I really love your quarterbacks too with Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow. You're going to have a really high chance to score some major points there. And Michael Pittman, McLaurin, Godwin, and Renfro can all have some really solid weeks for you. Really, though, it comes down to, can Antonio Gibson soak up enough touches in Washington? He's had some fumbling issues this training camp, and he's kind of on the bad graces of, I think, the head coach and the team. But if Kenneth Walker, a rookie out of Michigan State, who's got a lot of potential talent, can get healthy here and play for the Seahawks and maybe pop a little bit, I really, really like this team. It's got a lot of great pieces to really do some damage. And I think, I had them as, well, ironically, I had them as the number 2 team this year.
Number 2. All right, let's see it.
For me, this is another team. I feel like any team in the middle can have some good variability. I actually have Ryan is number 4, but I could see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of players that, I don't know, I don't want the jinxes piling up. I can see him going higher up there. He's just got a number of I'm not that I've just had bad feels on personally from past experience. Like you said, Brian, with Antonio Gibson, I think he's helped by the fact that it was Brian Robinson, right, who's dealing with severe injuries, but he was going to steal a lot of touches from Gibson. And just Washington overall seemed like a mess last year. So we'll see if they get better this year. Wentz should be better than the gobbledygook they had last year, but we still saw that he didn't raise the boats too high for the Colts. So I was also really burned by Terry McLaurin last year. And I don't know if Wentz is going to be consistent enough to help McLaurin turn into a consistent player. Like, he has the potential of turning into that monster, but hasn't proven it yet. Pittman has a high floor, but not necessarily that dominant wide receiver group there. Love Eckler, one of the best running backs out there. Really like Joe Burrow. I mean, we saw how the Bengals went nuclear at the end of last year. Maybe they keep it up all of this year, and Burrow becomes the clear QB1. Kelsey was another one of those guys who I'd wanted to draft forever. I finally drafted last year. He gave me one really good game and a number of solid games, but he started to feel to me like a player who's starting to age. So he's still a great tight end. You know, I put him right there behind Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
But he's no longer going to produce like a wide receiver at the tight end position for you.
At least not every single week, I don't think.
Not every single week like he did before. Having Aaron Rodgers on the bench is great. Trevor Lawrence, you know, maybe he can really take the next step up. Chris Godwin might be underrated. I didn't realize that he was as far along in his recovery as he sounds like he is. So definitely room to go. Room to go up. Could easily finish far higher than fourth, but there's some players that just give me pause enough to keep him at fourth.
Absolutely. I need to be honest with you guys. I originally had Brian at number 2. And Brian, if you're watching this, I understand you're probably fuming right now at watching my screen as I have moved you lower in the ranks.
Oh.
What happened is that we put these rankings together in probably the 30 minutes before we started recording. We talked a little bit and we made our projections. I was 1. I think I have PTSD because last year I was really low on Brian, and then he turned out to be the number 1 team for pretty much the entire year until Haley finally got him at the finals. And none of his players got injured, despite being called injured players. Like, he didn't really have the depth. His star players just kept going off all year long. And that's pretty much what I see here. But, like, the more I looked at this team, the more I'm like, I can't project it that high. I'm the lowest. I now have him at 5. Brian, I put you up to 3. And there will be another surprise later who we haven't gotten around to. Here's my reason. Like, there's just zero depth, and there's so much room for failure, just like with This Isn't Hockey. There's 6 quarterbacks once again, and like with that upside on some of those guys, I mean, he'll probably win the week by having the number 1 quarterback on the week a few times. Aaron Rodgers goes ballistic. Joe Burrow goes ballistic. Daniel Jones breaks off like an 80-yard run and scores a touchdown. Like, it happens, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm crazy about Michael Pittman this year, actually. I'm actually much higher on Matt Ryan than most people are. So, like, if Matt Ryan and Pittman, that stack goes off, like, that could be really good for him. And Carson Wentz provided the Pittman breakout last year, so I don't see why he can't do that for McLaurin. And Godwin's killer. But yeah, it's Travis Kelce or nothing at the tight end position, and taking him number 2, like, he might not be there anymore. He might not be that good. And Eckler, to me, is like the only good running back on this entire team. I mean, the Washington team has lost a lot of faith in Gibson, and Kenneth Walker's still behind Rashad Penny, and a second running back has to be up there every single week on these rosters. I just think he's going to have boom weeks and he's going to have bust weeks. And this year it's not going to be like last year. It's not going to be all boom weeks. I'm sorry, Brian. It's number 5 for me.
I feel like Michael Pittman or Kenneth Walker is going to really break out, though. That's just me. I watched Kenneth Walker destroy my Michigan Wolverines. That guy's got some moves like Jagger, man. So if he gets healthy early enough in the year for Brian, I don't know. I think with the unfortunate injury, and poor Brian Robinson got shot during an armed robbery, but because of that, if Antonio Gibson can get a good stretch of luck, I think he could put up some points for Washington. I do think McLaurin could hit this year with Wentz. He's better than Taylor Heineke or whatever was throwing him the ball last year. Even when Dwayne Haskins, RIP, was throwing the ball to McLaurin, he was doing a little better. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm a little higher on him than you two, but
absolutely, and watch him mash my face in again like last year. I would deserve it after how negative I just was. But also, do you think Odell Beckham's going to even be signed to a team this year?
Absolutely. Somebody's going to need a chance. All
right, R. James Wilson. What's it called?
Phantom
Bookshelf.
So we're sticking with the Star Wars theme. Last year was the Bookshelf Strikes Back. Now we're going to where it all began.
Isaac, you have best friend honors. Would you start us off?
Yeah, I would. And I'd start off by saying I hope Steven's not too set on sticking with the Star Wars names, because I don't know if he'll have naming rights next year.
Some shade.
As my number 10 team. The drafts have been improving, especially since 3 years ago when you took the Pittsburgh defense as your first round draft pick, Steven.
It's a fun time. He still beat me that year.
That's true. So I think it's the flip side. Last year we did this, and Steven had Lamar Jackson and some other extremely talented, speedy quarterback. I forgot who it was. And no running backs. And so this year, the strategy has been reversed. And I love Steven's running backs.
Oh, yeah.
And I do not like the rest of the team. The running back will be a strength. Derrick Henry could easily be the number 1 back again. Aaron Jones is solid. And the fact that, Nick Chubb is amazing. So your running backs and the flex is going to be fantastic just based off of the depth there. There's always going to be 2 or 3 who are doing great each week. Thielen, I'm starting to get a little scared about. He seems like he's starting to slow down.
Got a bad
Mike
feeling.
Williams just got the big contract, but still I haven't seen anything close to consistency for a full half of a season, let alone giving you good games throughout the whole year. So if someone surprises, like McCole Hardman steps up, Gabe Davis, but I don't see a high ceiling at all with wide receiver. And Derek Carr, with a 10-team league, usually ends up being more of a streaming quarterback than a starting one. So he'll be okay, but I don't have high hopes. Sorry, Steven.
Yeah, I'm sorry too, Steven. You're also my number 10 team. And it's just about spreading those positions out amongst your starting roster. You're going to probably have the top running back score every single week. Derrick Henry, I think I got a little shook by him getting injured finally last year, but if he didn't get injured, he was going to far outscore Jonathan Taylor. Derrick Henry's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got some great potential for spike weeks with your wide receivers. Even Mecole Hardman gets a bomb touchdown a few times a year. And your tight ends really aren't that bad compared to everyone else. If you trade Brian or Shania for some quarterbacks, get 2 of their backup quarterbacks on this team, one of them is going to make the top 12 most weeks. You'll be fine. I think you'll actually go way up in the rankings if you get some more quarterbacks on this team. But for now, I think it's just too unbalanced.
Well, Steven, I don't know. I actually have you at 8th, which, depending on your perspective, I guess relative to the others, it's a lot better, but it's still towards the bottom. And it does come down to the running back situation, but I don't think Derek Carr is going to be nearly as bad of a quarterback as people think. I think Devontae Adams, as long as he's decently healthy, really raises his ceiling because, we can only hope that Josh McDaniels maybe learned something from his previous time in Denver too, and stuff. Josh McDaniels may have not been the best head coach in the world, but I was actually listening to Denver Sports Radio a few weeks back, and they were actually talking a little bit about his time here in Denver. And the guy's a brilliant coach, but he just kind of rubbed some heads the wrong way and probably didn't have some of the secondary stuff around. But I remember back when I was in college watching those Denver teams that he was here, I think, when Tim Tebow was the quarterback there for a year or two. And I remember they beat the Steelers in the playoffs when Tebow hit Demaryius Thomas for a touchdown. R.I.P. Demaryius. But I do really like your running back situation, and you could really have if 3 of them hit in any given week, you'll have 2 great running backs, and your flex will kill it. Unless a receiver really bombs off for a couple big TDs in a week, like you could really nail those spots. And I actually like your wide receiver positions. There's a little bit of risk with Thielen. I don't like the Thielen pick, but Mike Williams can really go off for you. And Gabe Davis may struggle a little bit for targets, but he's been getting a ton of hype. And not to detract from this league too much, but like in dynasty leagues, which go multiple seasons, he's been getting a lot of hype in training camp and stuff. You do not have much quarterback depth, and I do agree with Luke that if he can Zach Wilson, unfortunately, is hurt right now, and he's not going to play for a bit. And even if he does play, I'm not high on him. But if you can trade even like one of your running backs, or 2 of them for a really solid quarterback or 2, even just like a decent backup, like it does raise your floor a lot and give you a little bit better chance. But I'm a little higher on your team. I'm not too thrilled with your tight end spot, but if Sackers can get healthy and stuff, he can put up some points for you, and we'll see how it goes. But I do agree. I don't like the position. I don't like the allocation of resources, and I think that does limit your team right now. But I think the running backs give you a little bit more of a floor, though.
Isaac, I think you get first dibs on this next one as well. We got Kaylee's team. Kakeo Sanovic, Team Kaylee. I'm putting her as Kaylee's Killers.
There you go.
I think she's gonna come in and rock this league. What you got, Isaac?
Yeah, I agree with the Kaylee's Killers moniker. I had no influence over her picks, but for a first year draft, I have to say this is an amazing selection. So I really had to think hard. I came in with a bias against this team in the rankings because I didn't want to be accused of being, as the kids would call it these days, a simp.
Join me.
But I could not help. Luke, you had my team at number 1, and I like her team a little bit better. So I put Kaylee's team at number 1.
Wow.
I know.
There's 2 kinds of boyfriends.
And this one wants to stay a boyfriend, so I'm picking her for number 1.
Hey, to be fair, though, it's not too much of a stretch. She's got a pretty solid team.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson, we'll never know if he'll be as good as he was that one year, but he's always good. Christian McCaffrey, I think the 3rd year is a charm. Now that Luke has broken the curse of drafting him, he could finish as the RB1 or at least have a very good year as long as he's healthy. DeAndre Swift, to me, feels kind of like knockoff Christian McCaffrey. When he was healthy, he was getting a lot of passes from Jared Goff and really gets a boost there as a pass receiving running back. So I think he'll be higher than he's been ranked as a running back. Mark Andrews got what I'd say is probably the best tight end in the league, at least going off last year. Got that stack with Lamar Jackson. I think Allen Robinson will go from non-existent to at least solid, playing with Matthew Stafford and with I mean, you can't cover Cooper Cup, but he's still there. So if there's a downside, I'd say the wide receiver room doesn't blow the cover off the door. But Allen Robinson and Jalen Waddle are still amazing talents, especially Waddle. We'll see how having Tyreek on his team affects him, but he was doing great last year. Amon-Ra St. Brown helps round out that room. He was amazing at the end of last year. I wouldn't expect that to drop off. Tyler Boyd provides some safety at wide receiver. Darnell Mooney has just gotten better each year, and according to preseason, the Bears offense just looks a lot better without Matt Nagy. And so I think Justin Fields, is he on this team too?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. So I think Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney could both be surprises there. I feel like Tony Pollard could start racing ahead of Ezekiel Elliott in terms of some of the chances he gets with the Cowboys. So there's just, I think it's an overall a solid team there. So that's why I've got him number one.
And no bias. You heard it here, folks.
No bias. And like I said, biased against, but I could not deny the talent on this team. So I just had to push through.
What do you think, Brian?
Well, I was also really high in this team. Maybe not quite as high as the boyfriend, but I did have I had Kaylee's Killers ranked third out of the 10 teams. I think this is a really solid team. Haven't met yet, Kaylee, but your team's definitely better than Isaac's team, in my opinion. Frankly, Kaylee, you have a really great chance at winning the league this year if these 4 things happen. And these 4 things are if Mark Andrews and your top 2 picks, McCaffrey and DeAndre Swift, can stay healthy and hit, and if Lamar Jackson can stay healthy throughout the year and stuff, you're going to be right up there with anybody, because those 4 players will just explode off the charts at their positions. Your wide receiver position is a little bit less strong in the name department, but I do think it's got some nice solid potential there. I would trade you for Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, any day of the week, because he's one of my Detroit Lions, and I think he's a stud. I do wonder if you could have maybe found some more interesting players than Jalen Waddle, but really having McCaffrey and DeAndre Swift, Mark Andrews, and Lamar Jackson, and if Justin Fields can have a Fields day most weeks, I think he could do decent, pretty decent. You really, your receivers just have to provide you a solid floor week in and week out. Your team has maybe the best 2 running back combos, or the best 2 running backs when healthy out of anybody in this league. Maybe even Steven's team. But it really just comes down to health, and I think you could have a really solid year here. Yeah, good luck.
I pretty much agree with you guys. I had her at 4th, so I'm the lowest. And I think it just has to do with some of the running backs and the quarterbacks. So, I think Mark Andrews was a solid pick at the 303. No one is going to have the guaranteed production like he will, in my opinion. Maybe Kyle Pitts. Your top running backs are really good. If either of them get injured, your next in line is Tony Pollard, and the guy after Tony Pollard, I don't think any of these guys are really going to be guaranteed to see the field very much. Mark Ingram, Ronald Jones, Deontay Foreman. And your wide receivers, they're not the ultra superstars, but you have so many good ones. And the thing about wide receivers is that they're high variance. Some of them are going to have bad weeks, and some are going to have good weeks. And the ones that have good weeks, they'll get to go up. It's honestly kind of a smart way to make the team in this format. I was burned by Lamar Jackson last year. I traded Steven for him, and he turned out to have a really high ranking, but it's because he had 3 weeks where he blew up the earth, and every other week he was in the quarterback 15 or so. So I'm glad you got Justin Fields as maybe a stabilizing force, but a little more depth at quarterback might be good. I think you're solid. I think you'll have a good shot at winning a lot of games and maybe taking the championship.
It's a really solid team.
Yeah. All right, this guy who wants to talk about mere procrastinities, Heidi's worst half, as demonstrated by the way I talk about her.
Brian, you want to start us off?
Sure. Well, Luke might be Heidi's worst half, but I think he's going to get the better half of her team this year. I'm pretty high on your team, Luke, and we're good friends, and we've talked a lot of football throughout the years. But I really like your team, and I could tell that you're out for blood this year. Jonathan Taylor, let's just be honest. He probably should have been the number one pick in this league, just being honest, in my opinion. But, you were blessed to get him at number 2 here. And I was going to say, we were joking offline about the fact that last year who was it again that you took that got hurt? Sorry.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, McCaffrey, yeah. That got her last year, and you're joking that, this is the year Taylor get hurt. I think that streak has to end at some point, and I think Taylor's got at least another monster season in front of him. Matt Ryan's a better quarterback, and the receiver in the room pretty much stayed the same. I think the Colts are going to do pretty decent this year. I think you're in for a big year, man. I really love the running back room with Taylor, Barkley, and David Montgomery. Barkley's a little bit of a risk factor, but people have been saying he's been looking a little bit sharper. And to be fair, Barkley tweaked his ankle again last year. And before that point, his running wasn't that great, but I could tell he had some explosiveness in the receiving. In fact, it was on about a 10-yard pass or something like that he caught, that he hurt his ankle. And I remember watching, because I had Barkley last year. I took the flyer on him, and he actually had a little bit of juice, and then that just kind of did him in. Stephon Diggs, Cortland Sutton, and Marquise Brown, and Rashad Bateman. That has some really nice boomer bust potential right there. I really love the Stephon Diggs pick. He's going to have some big weeks. He's going to have some less big weeks. But Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown, and Rashad Bateman, and Devonta Smith are going to pop off at some point this year. And if they pop off when Diggs or Sutton decides to have a slightly down week, you're going to still put up some monster numbers. I love your quarterback room. Trey Lance could be a league winner, whether it's dynasty or whether it's this redraft format. But the fact that you also have Kyler Murray gives you a really, 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 really high floor at the quarterback position. If any injuries happen, though, to Barkley or Taylor, your depth falls off a cliff pretty fast. I mean, Damian Pierce is the starter in Houston and could soak up a lot of volume, but I don't know. Running backs can help you in leagues like this, but it just kind of remains to be seen. But I'm really high on your team, man, and that's why I just love your depth. There's been some really good other starting lineups, maybe some even better than yours, but because of depth and the power, I got you number 1.
Unlimited power.
Unlimited power. There you go.
So I'm
Isaac?
going with slightly more limited power. But still strong draft, and and even as
lack of faith disturbing. Oh wait, wrong character. Sorry.
And even as Brian was talking, it convinced me that I have you ranked too low, Luke. But to change my ranking now would mess up too many other teams. Your team was the one I struggled with, and I think it's not because of how you drafted, but my own personal experience with these players. Like I said, this year I drafted based on the feels and the vibes and very scientific things like that. And you have a couple of bad feels. People on the team just they're not even weaknesses. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, getting him at 2, that's great. And I think that'll help maybe balance out some other things. Like Brian was saying, I think there's enough with that top 4 of wide receivers that it really should be pretty good. The only thing that makes me a little lower on the wide receivers is just my own experience with Stephon Diggs last year, and kind of seeing which version of Stephon shows up. Last year, he did not have a single game-winning week. He just had a lot of consistent weeks where he was solid, but there wasn't any burn the earth down weeks. So if we get back old Stephon, or Stephon from just 2 years ago, some of those penalties come back, he gets 1 or 2 monster games, and you're definitely higher up for me. Can tell that tight end wasn't a priority here, but the talent at the other position should hopefully balance that out. Saquon Barkley, maybe he's also this year's version of him and McCaffrey. Both have the law of averages work in their favor and stay healthy and do great. One of the things that made me think I ranked you too low was rethinking the fact that you have Trey Lance and that he's the starter now, and he could very well be your starting QB in best ball for half the weeks or so. I think that will help balance out some of Murray's variability. That was one of the reasons I maybe ranked you a little lower after Kyler Murray was really considered, I think, a top 3 guy last year. He seems to follow a pattern of getting dinged up about 3 or 4 games into the season and then kind of having a little bit of a performance drop off from there and not adding the value with his legs that you would expect him to.
Brian knows.
I know that side took from the last 2 years. It's usually been more about halfway through the season. He'll really light him up for the first half, but towards the end he starts wearing down.
Yeah, so and there's some of the depth Brian talked about, but you're also more plugged in. So some of these guys that I don't. Oh, and then I didn't notice David Montgomery on the bench. So wow, I really should change my ranking because I
go
think
right ahead. I'll adjust you.
I think he'll do better. Do better than I give
Brian,
him credit for.
Did you have me at number 1, Brian?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, that was the only spot left, and I assume by the way you spoke about me, I wasn't number 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I originally had your team at number 5. Looking at everything, I think I'm gonna swap you to 3, me to 4, and the number 1, number 2 team to 5.
I'll just enjoy my victory lap now.
Yep.
I forget, who did you have number 1 and number 2, Isaac?
I had Kaylee as 1 and Shania as 2.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And thank you both for the compliments. You know, we can go into the season thinking we know what's going to happen, and then it's just completely different. And that my 3 seasons in this league are a real example of, you know, pride comes before the fall. That being said, I have myself at number 2. I was pretty angry. I was going pretty hard in my picks, trying to make things just really good. And this year I was shooting for upside, and I was shooting for the best ball format. I wish I had a little more depth at running back. I think the 12th round really got me. I really wanted James Robinson or Melvin Gordon to get back to me, but I thought George Pickens had been picking up so much hype in camp that I wanted to make sure I had him for his inevitable boom weeks, especially in the second half of the year. KJ Hamler is the wide receiver 3 for the Broncos, and I'm pretty sure he's going to catch some bomb touchdowns. So I actually feel like all my wide receivers are going to end up on my roster at some point. Barkley has basically been going to interviews and saying how upset he is that everyone is doubting him when he was like the prodigy running back coming in a few years ago. He's finally healthy, and I think if he hits, he is as good as Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe better, honestly.
But it's doubtful that he's going to be that good. Point is, I just built a team where I'm hoping that one person blows up the earth every single week at every position, except for tight end, which I completely punted, and that's probably why I put myself at number 2. That could absolutely shoot me in the foot. I just need one of these 3 guys to catch a touchdown each week. I'll probably be fine, I hope.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I mean, just a little interesting comment. I'm not sure how we're doing here on time and stuff, but an interesting comment on Barkley is I'm a huge Michigan Wolverines college football fan, which some of you will know, and some of you may not even know existed. But the college that Barkley paid for was Penn State, and they're in the same conference, the same like league, if you will, as Michigan State. And I got to watch him. I think it was just 2 years on campus, maybe it was 3. The guy is by far, if you go look at enough, if you geek out over football, or if you just want to go look, he scored like off these charts on all the physical things, whether it's 40 and just like his athleticism and stuff. The guy pre-injury was frankly just a freak show. Yeah. And Jonathan Taylor was definitely a darn good running back because he went to Wisconsin, also the same league as Michigan. And so I watched him a lot. Barkley, if he comes back healthy, it's a big if, but if he comes back healthy, is the most talented running back in the National Football League, in my opinion, right now, across the board. He's just that much of a freak. But with the injuries, will they have taken something away? Maybe. But, Taylor's great, but Barkley was the real deal. He just got stuck on a really crappy New York Giants team and still put up big numbers pre-injury. Then he just got hit with the injury bug. I really like that. Like, those two could really, really pop.
Man. All right. Well, let's move on to our final team. New addition, John. I put, does it go by John or Jonathan?
John.
Okay. I put Jonathan Jamboree. I think it's a solid team. I can start here. I got Jonathan. I got you at 7. I think there's a lot to like here, to be honest. Your quarterback room is nothing short of terrifying. You probably didn't even need Matthew Stafford. Josh Allen's going to dominate the league like he always does. But having Stafford there as a backup for his boom weeks is great as well. And I like your depth too. I think even all these running backs are going to see usage. If Javonte Williams doesn't blow up right away, or Cam Akers gets injured, I think you'll be okay. I just don't think there's that much upside in your wide receiver room, to be honest. And you got to hope that Pat Fryermuth, to quote the fantasy footballers, we hope the Muth gets Luth. If he doesn't get Luth, then he will not score many points. And I don't see the upside for you to really go out there and win the league, but I can see some boom weeks or some weeks where if your opponent falls short, you're pretty steady.
Yeah, so no offense, Padawan. Thank you for trying out the league, brave John. And yet I have John competing with Steven for the basement at number 9. The quarterback room is terrifying there with Stafford and Josh Allen. Those will be fantastic weeks. It's just that quarterback is the only position where I see the upside to win a week based on one player's performance. Javonte Williams is a great talent, but having kind of paid attention to the Broncos, if he was the number 1 clear-cut starter, he would be Derrick Henry light and easily be a top 5 running back. I just don't. It seems like the split is still going to be even enough with Melvin Gordon that he's not going to get the chance to shine as much as he should have. So he'll do great with his production, but I don't know if he'll get as much as he needs. Cam Akers is a big risk coming back from injury and also might not get quite as much health and room to run as he needs to dominate. Allen is solid at wide receiver, but also not a top tier guy. Ben Roethlisberger wasn't good last year, but it's hard to say it's going to get any better for Deontay Johnson, so he might still be solid, but he's not going to have great blow off the barn doors weeks. Juju might benefit from the change of scenery. How can you not do better with Pat Mahomes than retirement home Big Ben? But he also hasn't been great for a couple of years now. So I'm just not. I'm seeing some solid play across the board, but not upside at too many positions.
Fair enough. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm kind of in alignment with Isaac here. John, haven't met you, but if this was your first time doing a league, good job for jumping into the pool and taking a good stab at it. Definitely not the worst draft I've ever seen for sure, but I'm not too high on it, I'll be honest. I got you at 9 as well. I'm just going to be honest, in redraft leagues, taking a quarterback in the first round, even though it is Josh Allen, I just don't think is really that great of a selection, especially number one. The reason being that in leagues like this, especially one quarterback leagues, the point differential from the top quarterback to the next few is not as great as the top running back or wide receivers to the the lower wide receiver options. Josh Allen's a heck of a player, but Jonathan Taylor or any of the other running backs, or even frankly one of the top 2 receivers, is going to get more point differential in a given week. I think that holds your team back even in a best ball format a little bit. I think Keenan Allen was a reach in the second round too. I think there's so many other players I would have liked over him. Keenan Allen puts up points and he's consistent, but he doesn't go off for big touchdowns, and he's getting up there in age. He's at 30 years old, which is like right at the cliff for wide receivers, and he did slow down a little bit last year. Javonte Williams, I've talked honestly with Luke about Javonte Williams a little bit because we've been talking a lot of shop, but I just don't think this is quite his season yet. I'm concerned about the split with Melvin Gordon in the Denver backfield. I think the talent's all there, and I think Denver should give him the majority of carries. I don't think Denver should have re-signed Melvin Gordon. I think they've been better to keep that money and put it into the defense or something. But I don't know, man. In a dynasty league like what Luke and I are doing, or have done, or talked about on Isaac on the side, he's a more intriguing pick because of his age. But for a redraft league, I do love him in your number 3 slot. I just don't love him as your number 1 running back. Cam Akers, I don't like that pick. Just being honest, he is a talented player coming out of college, but while he did start to hit a little bit in the playoffs, he kept getting hurt. He had fumble issues, and I didn't really see a tendency to use him as a receiving back. And in a PPR league, that's pretty important. Deontay Johnson, I'm not as high on, and Pat Freiermuth, I think, will be a bit of a sleuth this year with the terrible quarterback situation. But that said, though, I could easily see your team doing a few spots better. I don't really see league winning potential here, but you do have a decent floor. A lot of these players are absolutely solid players. Your quarterback room is the 2 quarterbacks you picked are going to be as good of a pairing as anybody's got in this league right now. But I just don't see the star power at the positions where you need it the most for this style of league. But you never know. Like we all said, the talk right now is just talk. The teams have to perform week to week, and we'll see where they land. So,
man, can I defend John just a little bit? Poor Padawan comes in ready to play some fantasy and just gets dogged on by his master too. I definitely understand where you're both coming from. Just a couple players though I want to defend a little bit. One, I've done a lot of self-justifying of Keenan Allen because I had to take him as my wide receiver 1 in that 14-team league, and I just watched his the NFL does the top 100 players videos, and so I was watching Keenan. It's not that he has to be fast. Like Cooper Kupp was saying, the best wide receivers, they go at different paces and they turn it on when they have to so that they can throw off their defenders. He's not going to be running down the field and catching bomb touchdowns very often, but I think especially in the AFC West this year, going against the Raiders twice, the Chiefs twice, and that other team twice. Sorry. Not the Chargers, the Broncos. Yeah, obviously. I feel like even though he's definitely slowing down, statistically, he's going to continue being a PPR machine at least this one more year. I mean, I just trust Justin Herbert so much. And with Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon actually came out and admitted, yeah, I know this is his year. he's going to get more of the work. And they actually cut down his contract from like it used to be. He did sign like a 2-year, $10 million deal. He came back for like $1 million just for the 1 year. Like, he knows he's out the door pretty soon. I think he just wants to keep playing football. But I expect Javonte to actually mostly take over by the second half of the year. Oh, and the Pittsburgh quarterback situation. Come on. Either the rookie Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky is better than Ben Roethlisberger. The dude couldn't throw more than 10 yards last year. You saw how much he was struggling.
Maybe Kenny Pickett might be better, but Mitch Trubisky may be able to throw farther than Ben Roethlisberger, but I think he throws it to the wrong team too many times.
Okay, fair enough.
I think Kenny Pickett will be the starter by the halfway point, though. Pittsburgh's got very little to lose by doing that, so you could very well be right.
John, when you face these guys this year, I'm going to be rooting for your team. All right. To end this whole thing, I want to throw in something. Can we all do a dark horse pick?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give mine. I'll give mine first to give you guys some time to think. But our dark horse picks will be just somebody who we were low on that we think could actually just totally surprise us. The truth, and I don't know if anyone's gonna believe me because I am biased and I totally just trashed on my girlfriend's team. But the truth is that just as I kept falling as I started to look more and more at Brian's team, I actually have been rising on Heidi's team throughout this whole thing, and due to your arguments, I think even though her running backs aren't top tier, the 6 that she does have, I think 2 of them are going to do fairly well each week, like be top 10 guys, top 15 guys. I don't think she totally punted the position. She just doesn't have elite running backs. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Herbert has like only 1 to 3 bad weeks the entire year. And I wouldn't be surprised if her top 4 wide receivers like consistently carry the team. I think Fiddle Lee Figgy is my dark horse pick to actually end up either winning the league or at least be in the top half.
Yeah, for me, I'll go back to the number 1, number 2 team. Since with the shuffle, after talking myself into promoting Luke's team, Brian's team ended up back at 5. I think that still feels low to me. So that top 5 is kind of a jumble. And so I could easily see Brian's team still winning it with the upside there. Pittman, McLaurin improve. Kelsey should get more targets, right, with Tyreek Hill gone. And so Hunter Renfrow was consistent. I just still really like that team.
Yeah, I mean, we could be wrong about Kelsey. Maybe because he's so essential, he'll just dominate. Yeah,
he still had that 60-point game for me was at the very end of last year, so he still got it enough.
I guess I would just say like sleeper teams, maybe like teams that we personally had in the bottom half.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, a sleeper team.
Well, if I'm going to go with that, it's going to be a bit of a duplicate, but Heidi, I really think your team's got to be the sleeper choice as well. If I'm going strictly with bottom half rankings, I had you 6th, and I think your team is way better than any of the other 4 I had in the bottom half. Your running back situation is a little bit interesting, but frankly, Heidi, your team, if we knew what Breece Hall was going to be, I would have your team a lot higher if he was even going to be like a pretty solid rookie running back. Your team could really, really make some noise this year. Herbert and those 3 receivers is an outstanding quartet of players. And, frankly, like, I don't think J.K. Dobbins is going to come back healthy enough this year to really explode based off his injury that he had. But Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs and Cordell Patterson could really, like, one of those 3 could easily be a top 10 in any given week, and the other one could do just good enough. And I think your tight end will be just fine. if things break the right way for your team, you could easily have a minimum top 4 team. And really, like in weeks where those 3 receivers hit, if you make the playoffs, anything can happen. If those 3 players explode and Herbert explodes, like watch out. You could run the tables.
All right. Any closing thoughts, boys?
Thanks, everyone. And we proved that we were very wrong last year. Maybe Brian will help balance us out.
Yeah.
So
Maybe. We'll see.
if we dogged your team, then it'll probably finish in the top 5. So be prepared to tell us I told you so.
Yeah.
And if we jinxed you, like we jinxed ourselves, then I apologize.
That's right.
That's true. I guess my closing thought is, I don't know. I might have been a little too low on my team at first glance, but
You think?
maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I've done pretty bad the last couple of years, but I didn't. We'll see. But no, I really thought this was an awesome draft. I thought there's a lot of really good teams, and I don't think anyone honestly just completely bombed the draft this year. There were some interesting choices for sure, some interesting strategies, but I think everybody, did a really solid job of drafting. There's always going to be a first place and always a last place, and I'm certainly not a participation trophy guy, but I thought, this was a really intriguing draft, especially with the way some of the teams' rosters turned out. So,
Yeah.
And honestly, it was just fun talking about football. Like, I love talking football. I appreciate you both having me join in for this iteration. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, dude. This is for us. We're having fun.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
John, no hard feelings, man. Never met you in person. Like, just talking from a football standpoint. But just like they said, your team will probably kick my team's butt. Let's just see how it falls.
All right. We'll wrap it up there. Here comes the outro music, by the way. Oh, yeah. All right. Good luck in the season, everybody. See you all in person very soon. Kickoff is on the 8th. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go. We have to do a football party at some point. Watch
Oh,
the
yeah.
game.
Isaac's birthday's coming up.
Oh, what?
Start shopping.